Hello and welcome to the AI Journals podcast, the show where we interview the exceptional leaders within the AI, emerging and high-tech world to bring you fresh insights, inspiring stories and new ideas. This week, we're joined by the fantastic Smadar David, who is the CEO and co-founder of Vanti Analytics. Vanti Analytics is an AI software as a service solution that analyzes and predicts faulty units at an early stage while providing explainability and pointing to the failure route. Through predictive models, it provides organizations with deep insights so that the business can increase manufacturing throughput, reduce defects, and eliminate rework. Smadar, it's great to have you with us alongside the co-host Kieran, and can't wait to bring you onto the show and ask you some great questions.
Thank you, Tom. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Really looking forward to it. And Kieran, always a joy to have you with us.
Good to see everyone.
So I want to start with a nice question that I spotted out, Smadar. And I read that you built from scratch a MEMS, which for anyone watching is a microelectronical mechanical system that are low cost and high accuracy inertial sensors. And these are used to serve on an extensive range of industrial applications, which, as you might have noticed, Smadar has got a very great background in. And I noticed, Smadar, you did this within 3 years and it went on to be deployed in every autonomous vehicle manufactured by BMW. And I've also noticed that you scaled your startup Vanti Analytics into a multi-million-pound valuation. So within a relatively short amount of time, I'd love to get your viewpoint on how you execute on these kind of ideas and bring them to reality.
Wow, great question. So I think you just need to have a goal and drive to it and just do what it takes, what's necessary. So when you have a very, very clear view of the goal, so that drives up the motivation. And I think it's a very Israeli thing to do a lot of stuff very quickly with not a lot of resources.
And what would you say was the kind of initial challenges or the opportunities that you saw when you were getting into this kind of area and starting Vanti Analytics? What was the kind of feel for it and the kind of get-go to get involved in this new business?
So the whole story around Vanti started with my own experience and my own challenges in my previous role, as you mentioned, the building and MEMS system. So I just saw that once we were using the data we had through the manufacturing, then we could quickly find the root causes of defects, and we can do the iterations much faster and improve our yields. So we always took a data-driven approach. So that was pretty much a motivation. And once I looked outside and really looked for solutions that could help utilizing, the great advancements in data analytics and machine learning, AI, there was nothing that was very easy and quick to set up and use for manufacturers. So that motivated me to take the next leap into establishing Vanti.
And I always love it. I say to Kieran as well, when you spot a problem and you can find that opportunity and it just comes to you and you can jump into it. And I mean, everyone, you'll see from the videos we do, just how much passion I have for the educating scene and making sure that these kind of ideas and new people coming into it are to bring new ideas and new businesses, which is why it's exciting to speak to you, Smadar, because this is one of the first companies I've ever come across that has just got such a great track record with building and so many cool businesses. And I noticed recently you were speaking at Tech Days Munich on the future of AI and alongside a number of exceptional speakers from areas such as Bosch and Intel AI's department. And I'd love to know where your interest came from, Smadar, in the field of AI, which is now what powers Vanti's software as a service solution. What was it? When was it? Was it when you were at Tel Aviv University or mechanical engineer in the Israeli Defense Forces? What was that kind of moment that thought, yes, this is an area I want to get more involved in?
So 2 things around it. The first was that there was a lot of machine learning and AI on the other side of the LiDAR of the system we developed. So for the image classification, for understanding the point cloud and really helping and driving the autonomous vehicle solution for the driving application. But that was only on one side of the system. And I was always triggered and like, why don't we use that as well? It seems like a so powerful tool. And on the other side, when I designed and managed that MEMS group, when we had to develop such a complicated system, I saw that we need maybe tens or hundreds of years of experience from so many experts, and it still takes a lot of time and a lot of iteration. So and the barriers to entry to design such a complicated system and to really get it up to speed and to improve the yields and make it a mass production grade and very high quality requires a lot of expertise. So how can we leverage everything that we already know about designing those systems and making those very complicated processes into a much more powerful tool that everyone can use, so we can get to high quality systems that are ready to be manufactured within no time. So even 3 years was very slow for me.
The pace of change is phenomenal.
Right.
You mentioned a moment ago AI, and we're referring that at the top end of the conversation. Is AI the new battleground for electronic manufacturers?
Yes, I would say so, definitely. Because now, especially after a COVID year, we understand that everything has to be the response time should be practically zero. You have to be able to leverage everything from the data and everything. You have to be in control when you're not on the ground, when you cannot be in the shop floor, when you have people working remotely. So you definitely need to give them better capabilities and better control of their system and manufacturing. And you need to really be able to empower them with that data. So I definitely think that companies taking those approaches and embracing AI will definitely have a competitive advantage in throughput and yield, especially quality, of course. And we definitely see that shift now, especially after COVID years. Companies are looking at how can they leverage data and make it a competitive advantage.
Well, when you mentioned data there, I notice in a manufacturing process using AI, you can cut signal to noise. You can look at predictive and preventative maintenance way in advance to keep uptimes as high as they can be, but obviously adds to the dollar value or the cost savings. But where are the really smart companies employing AI across their enterprise?
Good question. So I think the best approach is to kind of transform your entire product or production line into a digital twin that really understands the physics behind it and takes an engineering approach, not just looking at everything there's out there from the machine data and just trying to find correlations or something like that, because you need actionable insights and really bring value to the specific unit you're producing. And the only way that's possible is to really understand the mechanistics of your process combined with the product that you're actually trying to manufacture. So companies are shifting into a digital twin of the product itself, rather than just looking at a siloed specific machine, just looking at it end to end for the entire product lifecycle, and really trying to improve every aspect for every specific unit, whether it's going to fail at a later station or whether it's going to fail after deployment on the customer side, which really gives them an edge on reputation and reduce recalls and so on. So RMA units and stuff like that. It really divides the more advanced companies.
And I saw the other week, I was reading about digital twins, and it's interesting that you bring it up, because it just looks like, to me, such a such a great idea and something you think, why wouldn't you run something like that if I can run a simulation for the cost saving? And I just, I think I was reading about it being used within the ocean, so they'd be able to figure out where everything's going. And I think it's like Kieran touched on, the rate of change, how this can be implemented across so many different sectors. I mean, I used to work within manufacturing, and the rate of change with and how much they wanted fault defects coming back, especially when we work with car manufacturers and with robotics. It's just fascinating. That's why I can see the kind of technology that Vanti has as just such a prime example of how it can help, how you can really build it into your systems and let things run autonomously. So I really like it. And it brings me on to next question that I really want to ask, which is more about the business. So Vanti Analytics, I love asking people where they come up with ideas. I remember the first conversation I had with Kieran, I said, where do you come up with the ideas to do this, to do this, to do this? And I'd love to know, where was it? Vanti Analytics, maybe the name or what it does. Where did the idea form for the business? Was there an aha moment, noticing a problem that kept popping up, or maybe all the above, no opportunity at the right time? I'd love to know.
Yeah, so funny story about the name. So Vanti in Hebrew, it's actually kind of a shortcut of the Hebrew word of Havanti. Havanti in Hebrew means I understand. So we want to understand everything. We want to understand why we're getting defects. We want to understand how to make our products better. We want to know in advance what is going to be, what's going to fail, how to do our processes better. So that is, we found that as a really cool name for our startup. It was a very long discussion in our first office, which was my my kitchen. So that's a funny story. And I think the real opportunity and that aha moment came again from our pain developing those systems when we had to move. Another funny story, when we had to move from the first offices to the second offices of Innoviz, we expanded quite fast, so we had to move, and we had to move all of our wafers and systems that we've built over the first year, the prototypes, to the new facility, and I ended up, I think, throwing away or looking at tens or maybe hundreds of different systems and parts and wafers that amounted to millions of dollars, just completely wasted because we couldn't really figure out in advance what's going to work and what's not going to work. And that was that aha moment that we tried to solve, and we're trying to build the future of AI to give those capabilities to avoid those wastes for manufacturers.
Love it. And it seems like a massive step up from the kitchen table that you were first starting at, right? Looking from the back. Correct.
Just a bit bigger now.
I love it. More table space, right?
Right. And better snacks.
Exactly. That's a key thing to any business, making sure you got the energy and making sure you got the snacks.
Yeah.
And it brings me to the next question, Smadar, which is obviously as a CEO and co-founder of a business alongside Nero, and with a team that's now 14 people, again, a massive leap from a kitchen table to 14 people, which is awesome to see in relatively short amount of time. I'd love to know, from your point of view, what advice would you give to people wanting to start what's a successful business? Are there any frameworks or processes that you can reveal, or from a personal background you do at Vanti, to keep everyone aligned with the vision and what you want to be achieving going forward?
So I think the most important thing when you start with just a very basic idea or just a thought of what would the market would want or need is just go ahead and talk with the market, right? So go ahead, share your idea with as many people as possible. Don't be afraid they will steal your idea. You really have to do the work, get the feedback, iterate. Unfortunately, we don't have an AI for startup idea validation yet. So you have to do the work by yourself. You really have to go talk with people, test it, let people experiment with the tool. What we did at the very first days is just, said to potential customers, share data with us. Okay, give us whatever you want, play with the product, just give us feedback. So that was really important and very educational for us in order to build the right product that people would eventually want.
You've done a lot of work over the last couple of years. It's absolutely amazing to watch and to see the progress from kitchen table to multi-million-dollar valued company. So fantastically well done. If we were sitting here in 5 years' time and you were to look back, what would you like to have happened to Vanti during that 5-year period? What does it look like?
So definitely, I would want to see to hear people talk about Vanti in 5 years as the company who really broke the paradigm for deploying AI and embracing it widely in manufacturing. So that one company who really succeeded to bring in a tool that allows the mass adoption of AI in manufacturing and really impacting the business, reducing their waste, making them much more efficient and happy. So that is my vision and my hopes for the next 5 years.
Fantastic. And I do not doubt that in the slightest, having spoken to you and looked at what you've done. I wish you every success in the future.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Great. I really love the story today, Smadar, and it's really awesome to be able to share this with our audience. And for anyone watching, I urge you to reach out to Smadar and the team at Vanti Analytics and follow up on any questions you might have with Smadar and the team. And really exciting to see what you've got coming over the next few years. It's been a real joy to speak with you this morning, and looking forward to everything you're going to achieve over the next 5 years, as we just said.
Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure talking to you. So thank you for the opportunity.